Bender State that we used to have essay competitions throughout the state. And in many cases, children who have opportunities for such kind of competitions allow them early on in colleges, in institutions where they're wearing guidance counselors to begin to discover who they are and where their strengths lie. So at the level of policy, the people who should be formulating policies to recognize that innovation and intellectual production or the knowledge economy rules the world do not seem to have placed that kind of emphasis. So whereas members of parliament, congressmen, House of Representatives, the state assemblies, senators are receiving jumbo pays. These fantastic salaries that have continued to be in the news, and they haven't quite come clean about it. They are reluctant to channel just a fraction of that, to the universities, which actually some of them went through to become who they are. So besides that, this is this treasury of the state. They are also not applying it. Here they are appropriating state resources and state apparatus, for self-aggrandizement in a way that leaves the common pool or the commonwealth that would advance our country in technology, in arts and culture, and in the various other fields that the country will benefit from. So yes, and it's a very painful one that you cannot speak without being emotional, is that the Nigerian poet, Otiono, that says that increasingly there is no longer the universe in the university in Nigeria. And I think it speaks about how much we have become localized and how much we haven't quite been able to transform these institutions of learning, these citadels, into the kind of places for grooming of future leaders and also for the advancement of the country in the critical areas of need in science, technology, arts, and culture.
I feel your emotions. I've gone to a number of public libraries myself, and I've literally wept. They're in very bad shape. The budgets for public libraries almost zero. The National Library, like I said, it's in a mess. From your experience, what do you think we need to do to rectify this?
Yeah, I think that we have to go beyond lip service, to the kind of programs that sometimes the states at the federal level initiates about return to the book and stuff like that. Some of these policies, that appear to just be playing to the gallery, more like ones that creates a sense of motion with no movement, a sense of smoke without fire, in which it as a way of allaying the fears of people, especially the academic and the intellectual class, about the disdain that we talked about, begin to make some kind of gestures to indicate they're actually interested in the knowledge economy. That's not the case. There has to be clear-cut policies that target, enrichment of libraries, general enrichment of knowledge amongst ordinary people and also of institutions. So you can tell the state of a country's commitment to intellectual development by the state of its schools and libraries. So you have said it all. If you go, I'll use the example of my experience. The library in my hometown, Ogwashuku in Delta State, when I was growing up as a child, was so rich that it's played a pivotal role to my development as a writer and an academic. That place has been, the last time I visited there, which is quite a few years back, and that I drove past, there's been in a state of decay. The bookshelves had fallen, there were no books there, and even the physical environment wasn't conducive for children who may want to bring their own books from home to study because the home is not conducive. Remember that we keep very large families that also affect the home environment for mental development, whereby, you have a house of about 9 people in 3 bedrooms. And then you can also tell the state of a country's commitment or lack thereof to intellectual production by houses, by the kind of bookshelves. How many offices, especially the ones occupied by politicians who are responsible for shaping policies, do you enter and find a bookcase? Do you know what it means for a child to grow up in a home where book is very central, where there's a bookcase that he can walk up to? And so these are all subcultures that are not existing, that are non-existent, and have continued to affect the growth of the younger ones.
Thank you very much for coming on the Channels Book Club.
And thank you for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Fascinating man, isn't he? Well, 31st of August was the deadline for submission of entries for the Channels Book Club Prize for Literature. We received entries from across Nigeria. Well done to all the smart secondary school students who participated. On the 5th of September, the panel of judges will be announcing the long list of 10 finalists. And on the 10th of September, the 10 finalists will be facing the panel of judges who will scrutinize their essays. That same day, the top 3 winners will be announced. To get the updates, please stay close to our Facebook page, which will be displayed on your screen. Welcome, Louis.
Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you here. We're excited about the Ake Arts and Book Festival coming up. Tell us about how you guys are preparing.
Well, it's happening in November in Abeokuta, the 18th to the 24th of November. It's going to be big, basically. We're having over 100 guests, musicians, artists, writers, poets, from all over the world flying in. We have a lot of Nigerian talent, some of our homegrown talent as well. A lot of writers, musicians from Nigeria, just all facets of the arts in general. It's tough. It's because it's pretty big. It's our first one, so it's a lot of work, but we're getting it done.
So all roads lead to Abeokuta.
All roads lead to Abeokuta in
November.
All roads lead to Abeokuta. As a matter of fact, in preparation, we are having the director of one of the plays, the main play at the festival. The director is coming into town next week, and he's basically looking for talent for the play that's happening at the festival, basically. So I think you talk more about that.
I'm going to ask you a bit more about that. But before then, is the Ake Arts and Book Festival going to be the biggest of its type in Africa?
That's our main goal. We want it to be the festival in Africa, the biggest. They have festivals all over the world. Nothing like this in Africa. We want it to be the first of its kind and also the biggest.
Big, when you say big, in what terms? Big in terms of the number of guests expected, in terms of what exactly?
In terms of everything, the number of guests, the number of events, the number of facets of the arts that are actually involved, because we're touching everything from dance to fine art to poetry to music to literature. Everything is film. So everything is being touched at least a little bit. So I don't think there's anything quite like it on the continent right now.
Can you give us a few names to expect?
Well, in terms of writers, we have people like Pt.2 coming in, Tai Selassie, of course, Wole Soyinka. Of course, Wole Soyinka.
That's his backyard.
That's his, right, basically. He can't escape it. In terms of musicians, we have what we're trying to do with the concert, with the music concert, is basically look at the history of music in Nigeria. So we're having older artists to artists from the 80s and 90s to the younger,
modern
artists. Everybody's coming. Then we have some artists. Temitayo Ogunbiyi, she's going to be there. She's a pretty well-known Nigerian artist, but she's based in the UK. Actually, the US. Actually, she's based in the US. So, if you want to actually see all our guests, you have to go to the website www.akfestival.org. We have over 100 guests on there, and you can see every single one of them.
Don't forget that the first prize is a sponsored trip to this year's edition of the Frankfurt Book Fair in Frankfurt, Germany. The competition is supported by Latana Books, Lufthansa German Airline, and Goethe Institute, Nigeria. We'll take a short break, and then we'll round up this episode.
From one nation to another, there must be a meeting point. Their ideas may be different, but they must work to agree on what's best for the people. Diplomatic Channel untangles the discussions to bring out what's really important. Because it is our world, and it's our right to know how their decisions affect us.
Biographies of famous international entrepreneurs like Bill Gates, Larry Ellison, and Richard Branson are very common. But how about biographies of accomplished indigenous entrepreneurs? Well, there are not too many, yet we need a lot of them. Our book of the week is one. It is titled Aliko Mohammed Dangote, the biography of the richest black person in the world. It was written by Faye Miwo and Neil. Get yourself a copy and learn from Aliko's story.